work at Shea.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No.
Why not?
Okay, very much.
I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Summers Board of Selectmen. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? All right. Thank you. So I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Summers Board of Selectmen. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We're in the Town Hall Auditorium. The meeting is being live streamed. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So on my right, for roll call, on my right I have Selectman Meyer. On my left I have Selectman Schmidt. We have Kim LaFleur, our Ops Director, Brian Wissinger, our CFO, and is there anybody else I need to mention? Guess not. Okay.
It doesn't look like there's anybody out there.
Great. Okay, so I'd like to open the floor to for public comment.
Do you want to just, Mr. Kinney, do you want to just review the rules for public comment?
Yeah, public comment should not be more than 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address here in town. And that's it, right?
Yeah, we have that rule in place so we can hear from as many people as possible. So just, apply, and, we definitely want to hear from as many of you as you can, but we do try and ask you to limit to 3 minutes if you can. So.
Please start.
Can't do it with her right now. She's No, really.
Good evening, and thank you for listening. My name is Elaine Friedman, 200 Billings Road, Somers, Connecticut, 06071.
I think we need to sit up front.
I'd like to know what the costs were that were associated with the architect's drawings up plans for the community center on 2 occasions, especially when the first cuts were made to reduce the operation of the senior center. If it's at all possible to get numbers. I am a numbers person, and I would like to at least present the fact of how much did that cost us, and we're not going to be able to do anything with it moving forward.
Community center, if you're talking about.
Community center from a few years ago?
The architect, we had 2 sets of architectural
the renderings
drawings.
for the new ad hoc committee, they had some basic renderings.
I don't think we paid anybody for that. I don't remember seeing any invoices for it, because they were giving conceptual design. There was no real study done, I guess you could say. It never got to the cost estimating true design phase.
So they did all those drawings and all that work for nothing?
From what I remembered, so it was STV was working on it.
There was a local architect. I believe it was around $10,000. So I believe, from my recollection, we
can check on that. And get back to you.
I would like to have an answer for that. And as I get on, you'll understand why I'm asking that question. We were serious about You were serious about the expansion of the senior center, or simply throwing out plans to see if we could pass a big, beautiful building. When you needed to reduce the budget, the very first cut were to staff hours of operation, and anything that you could to upset the function of the senior center, its programs and staffing capabilities. How much is actually being saved by reducing the director of the senior center's hours from full-time to part-time and eliminating the pension and benefits that went along with that position?
About $60,000.
$60,000?
About $60,000.
She's making $120,000 a year?
But her benefits cost $34,000 a year. So that's $34,000 right off the top, and then about another $20,000 when you reduce her to part-time.
Okay.
Exactly.
And we do know she has a handicapped husband. And the reason she took the job because it was a full-time position that was offered to her. So we stole her from Hamden, only to put her back to part-time and taking her pension and benefits away. I want you to become aware of the impact of what that has done to her and ultimately the seniors at the senior center. Closing on Friday has impacted the Dial-A-Ride program to our seniors for doctor appointments and social activities for those who have no other way of staying active to sustain their self-worth and physical well-being. We seniors have been in town the longest, have paid more of our fair share in taxes annually, still serve on boards and commissions, and we are very unhappy with that we've been hit the hardest by cutting our seniors' programs and hours of operation. We will probably lose our professional staff, as no head of household can function on 25 hours or less a week of inadequate income. In addition, being stripped of all benefits along with reduction of hours to support staff will not allow programs to be developed, implemented, and attended. As seniors, we have earned these benefits. And I feel very strongly about that. I'm giving you my personal opinion. We still currently are on a lot of boards and commissions and putting our volunteer time into this town. And we have been doing it for years. Myself, I've been doing it since the 1970s, along with over 16 years of employment in the First Selectman's office with multiple hats. And I'm talking multiple hats: social services director, administrative assistant to the First Selectman. I was assistant assessor and tax collector and social services over at the senior center with bringing programs when we didn't have very much of a senior center at all. And I'm thrilled with what they've done with the senior center at this point. I've become active about 2 years ago, and I cannot believe how wonderful one full-time and 2 part-timers have done in that building. You should be applauding them, not cutting their salaries and their time.
Ma'am?
We hear certain... May I finish, please? We heard certain staff members received a substantial increase in addition to a COLA increase as you were trying to keep professional staff in other locations. The senior center staff are also professionals and should be treated with the same consideration and respect. If you have a vested interest in the senior center, you would have a different outlook on how severe the changes you have recommended and or made to our senior community are affecting our seniors. I thank you for taking the time to hear me out, as I am very concerned that we shall no longer have a safe and active place to go to that has been a lifeline to many of our seniors who reside in the town of Somers and who have no family members to care for them. They give that sense of community. Being at the senior center, the Somers Senior Center, and you should be proud and supportive of what the center's dedicated staff members have created.
Thank you. Who's Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I wish I had remarks here as beautifully as you. Thank you. You're welcome. My name is Michelle Young. I live at 447 Mountain Road here in Somers.
Can you get closer to the microphone or
I
something?
sure can. Does that help?
Put it down a little bit.
I'm a midget, I know.
No.
Okay, how's that?
That's great.
Good? Okay, thank you all. Appreciate your time. I've been not as active as I would like to be in the town of Somers, and there's a lot of reasons for it. We'll leave it at that. I do know that I've lived here for 30 years. I've watched this community wax and wane, and what I can't for the life of me understand is why we don't behave with an understanding that is really very simple. 25 years ago, my husband was laid off. The first thing you do when your income is decreased is take a look at anything and everything that is possibly ancillary. That means we didn't go out to dinner. We didn't buy steak. We ate beans. And whatever money we had left over went into savings. If I understand correctly, the town of Somers has no more savings. And we have consistently behaved in exactly the same manner as we have when I moved here 30 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to do something different. We cannot continue to be guided by a generation, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, with no disrespect, by a generation who has absolutely no understanding what it is like to raise a family today.
800,000.
Today, if you're 45 years old and you have 2 or 3 children in this school system, believe me when I tell you, you are struggling. So where you think these taxes are going to come from is beyond me. We have got to take a very, very hard look at anything that is ancillary and unimportant. When I walked in here to vote the last 3 elections, there had to be 30 signs thanking our volunteers. We don't have that kind of money anymore. We don't have the money to be printing cute little plaques for a business of the month. We simply don't have the luxury of those minute items that don't allow families to grow, and our seniors, absolutely correct, and our seniors to maintain the quality of life that they have earned. So anything that's ancillary, my brain says anybody who's not essential goes home tonight. Go home. Furlough them for 2 weeks. It's not about wanting to hurt anybody. It's about being realistic. We don't have the money. You're not going to get the money. We need to think differently. I beg you to consider thinking outside of the box that we have so tightly wrapped ourselves in the community of Somers. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gloria Coles, and I'm currently not a resident of Somers. I was years ago, 1971 to 1978, and I owned a business here co-owned for over 20 years. I currently reside at 66 Handle Road, Stafford, in my new house at 121 Scully Road. And I would like to read this to you. The importance of an active Somers Senior Center. The Somers Senior Centers is very important to the aging population in Somers and nearby towns. If the town keeps cutting back on experienced staff and hours of operation, it is going to have a very negative impact on the seniors in town. The staff are trained and supportive to all seniors. We need them. Socialization is very important for seniors, especially those who are isolated in their aging years. Socialization impacts mental and physical well-being. It helps seniors to be able to live in their homes. Group exercise classes help with heart issues, strengthens the body, helps with balance to prevent falls, and helps with mental health through socialization. Physical fitness and memory loss are concerns as we grow older. Senior centers help through socialization, supportive services, and trained staff to help prevent memory loss and keep us physically fit. When seniors have a support system, it helps lower the risk of suicidal thoughts, mental decline, and improves their cognitive function as there is ongoing interaction with friends and staff that are there to help. Why is Somers attacking our seniors through cutting staff hours and operational hours? If the town supports us, we will support the town. Compare our senior center to Vernon, Ellington, and Enfield, but we're not complaining. We want you to consider the challenges to growing older and the help from the residents that seniors once raised. Respectfully, Gloria Coles.
Thank you, Gloria. Is there any other public comment this evening? Yes. We got one coming here.
Yeah, just line up.
Catherine Mashak, 54 Springfield Road. I find it interesting that I've heard from other people that the biggest problem was the reevaluations people are not pleased with, and yet that's yet to be mentioned tonight. I personally feel that our town has been fiscally responsible over the last several years. I do think that our education budget is out of this world. We perhaps need, and I know how well the charter revisions go in this town, but we maybe need to do a charter revision and separate the school budget from the town budget. What's happening now is we're losing essential services. I've lived in this town 57 years. Every time there's a problem with the budget, first things to go are the services for people who can't speak for themselves. I've seen this happen time and time again. So I don't know what the solution is. I think that people need to really speak out about what's bothering them. It's not just the loss of services. It's going to get worse. If you don't have money to plow the roads, well, we all stay home this winter. So, we need to take a practical look. What can be cut? When I was in school, 35 kids in a classroom. Now you tell parents there are going to be more than 20 in a classroom and they're going to pitch a fit. So, we got to start looking at things practically. And this town does not offer a lot of services. I know Mrs. Ramsdell's leaving. Her position's been liquidated, and she does a lot of good work with people who need help financially. And I hate to see her go. She helps young families, and she helps older people. I understand the need for a senior center. I don't know if there's a way around it. Perhaps getting some people to volunteer to man it at certain times with a schedule might help. I do believe that seniors do need that interaction and that social activity. I was hoping even that the new community center was more than a dream. But anyway, that being said, I think we need to look at all the aspects of what's happened. I think this is also people's way of rebelling against what is happening in general in the world. People want to have a voice. They want to know that the American dream is possible for them, and it's getting harder and harder for our young people. We need to consider that. And the elderly are on a fixed income. They can't afford all this. It's getting ridiculous. So I guess that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lorraine Wetherill. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Talk in the microphone.
Microphone up. Lorraine Wetherill, Billings Road, 216 Billings Road, Somers, Connecticut. My husband and I moved to this town in 1961. So we have been here 65 years. We're not the oldest people here. I'm sure there's others that have been here longer. What I'm concerned about, certainly our senior center, I want to emphasize that Donna, our director, has a husband that's disabled and he is on Medicaid. Her hours were reduced from 35 to 28, if I'm correct. I was just doing a little figuring myself. We pay $600 a month per person for our health. Does Donna have to pay more than that?
Who pays $600?
We're paying $600 a month in addition to our Medicare for our health coverage per month.
She would have been paying about $430.
Okay. How did you get to the $34,000 for her?
Because the town pays the other
side. Right.
portion of it. The total monthly cost of her insurance plan is about $2,900 a month, of which she picks up $400 and the town pays the other $2,500.
My goodness, is she got COBRA?
No,
That's regular health care.
you can thank the Affordable Care Act for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the costs we're facing as a town.
Okay.
And that, to be honest with you, that's cheap.
Okay, well, I know we're getting Medicare coverage, and then we pay an additional $600.
For supplemental, yes.
Right.
Yes, for each of us. And there's two of us in the house, so we're paying $1,200 a month for my husband and I.
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I had was, when our houses were reassessed, we had much higher reassessments. I'm wondering, is the mill rate going to be for that higher reassessment? Because right now,
Yes.
we are paying about $11,000 a year, my husband and I, for taxes. And we're paying $6,000 to $8,000 for insurances. We earn somewhere around 65 to 70. That's a big chunk. So tell me what's going on.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later
Yeah,
on.
but I'd like to
Yep.
know on the assessment and the mill rate.
Right.
We adjusted it down.
Yeah, any mill rate that would be set would be on the new, on the revaluation of homes, yes, the reassessment.
Okay, because the mill rate would be the same as last year right now,
No,
correct?
it would be much lower.
It's much lower?
But not your
It
assessment.
was
Went from 30.3 to
Was it 30.3?
24.4.
It was 30.21, it went down 7.81 mils to 22.4, and that was the equalized readjusted mill rate. And then any increase beyond that is on that 22.4 number.
Okay. Okay, because I haven't seen taxes yet. I'm not going to know what they are till I see them. Okay, those were the questions that I had. So I appreciate all the hard work you're doing. But as a senior that's been here, we're going to be 90 years old, my husband and I. And it's getting harder for us. And I hope we don't want to have to move out of our house. We had Christmas trees in town. We worked our butts off 7 days a week. We didn't go out for lunches with a drink. We ended up getting up at 3 and 4 in the morning.
Wow.
And a lot of times it was 8 o'clock at night before my husband came home from work. So we had to do it if we were going to survive. And we have to do things here now tonight in order to survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Right again. Take your time. Take your time.
Good evening. My name is Joan Sizer.
You
I am
gotta
my
get
husband.
the mic up.
Oh, yes, I am taller. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Joan Sizer. My husband John and I live on Whisper Woods Drive here in Summers, and we've been here since 1999. And pretty much from the moment we got here, we discovered the Summers Senior Center, and we have been thrilled with it ever since, and particularly the last couple of years with the staff that we have. The programs that they have developed, the human interest that they have shown in each of the seniors, the caring for them, which doesn't cost anything, but that's their personality, has been invaluable. Through the years, I can't tell you how many times, because I didn't take the time to look back, but there have been a number of times when budgets come up for review, the senior center gets cut one way or another. And I appreciate the fact that, of course, Board of Education is very important for the youth of our community. That's urgent, of course. But also, the seniors in town, to my recollection, represent the majority of the registered voters in town, and I'm not talking 51%. My thoughts are, what cuts, according to the sheets that I've seen, there does not appear to be any cuts in staffing at the town hall or reduction of hours. There doesn't seem to be any reduction in staffing at the library. It seems like the senior center, as far as staffing goes, shall we say, is the hardest one hit. And again, if I recall the figures, the seniors are the majority registered voters in town. And not that that necessarily weighs a lot, but the bottom line is they are important people. And the value that, as has been said already, that senior center and their staff offers to those people, including myself, has been astronomical. The caring, the genuineness is extremely important from a psychological and emotional aspect for all of the seniors. So I hope and pray that this time, as opposed to the number of times in the past, that the senior center will not be as adversely affected as is planned today. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good job. Yeah, the raises.
Hello, I'm Dan Blinn from Mountain View Road in Summers.
Yeah. Can you hear you? Closer to your mic, friend.
Like that?
Yeah, just get closer to the mic.
Okay. All right, I just talking about the people that we're going to lose, myself included, from the transfer station. I heard, and I want to make sure that I'm correct on this, that a policeman and a fireman also would be cut?
No.
We did cut a fire position.
We did cut a fire position.
Yes, we did cut a firefighter.
That hasn't been filled yet.
Yeah.
Okay, but at the same time that you're cutting myself in that position, you're offering raises.
There are no raises.
Yes.
No raises on it?
None.
Jim and
Zero.
Okay,
We're lying to us.
we're seeing,
The salaries that are proposed in the current year budget, the salaries that are proposed in the current year budget are current actual to-date salaries, for what people make right now. There is no salary increases proposed.
So raises were done mid-year, so that's the confusion. So there was a mid-year raise done in January of 2026. We did a comprehensive study to kind of make the wages more in line with the average.
7 other towns.
Yeah, but the problem was it was a mid-year adjustment, so when you go to set the following year's budget, they then need to be incorporated. So both things are true. The first selectman's correct. There's no new raises, but because they were mid-year raises already given, they're now in the budget.
So that's what's published on the internet.
Are we listening to this or talking amongst ourselves? I'm listening to you right now.
Sorry.
Thank you. Continue, please.
Okay. Well, apparently a lot of misinformation is about, because we read these things on the internet that raises were part of the budget. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Well, you know what Abraham Lincoln said. If it's on the internet, it's true.
Yeah.
It's on your internet.
Okay.
On your
That's
website.
all I had. Thank you.
Go ahead. Thanks, Dan.
It's probably a lie.
No, it's on there.
Darlene McCrae, 47 Brayburn. I don't have paper, but I do have my phone here. I appreciate the opportunity for me to speak here tonight. I'm here to respectfully request the formation of a volunteer committee to review the town charter, a complete review of the town charter. I believe a structured review would help ensure that our governing framework remains efficient, transparent, and aligned with the needs of the residents today. This is especially important as town operations and costs continue to evolve over time. In addition, I would like to raise a broader concern regarding the financial impact of recurring town votes and administrative processes. I know it costs money every time we vote, and a lot of money. While democratic participation is essential, it's also important to understand the cumulative cost of repeated votes and whether there are opportunities to streamline procedures where appropriate. I also believe we should carefully evaluate areas of the town budget where efficiencies may be possible. In particular, I am requesting the board consider a view of library operations and staffing levels, as well as administrative staffing and operations at the town hall. My intent is not to diminish services, but to ensure that resources are being used as effectively and sustainably as possible. Finally, I would like to request greater budget transparency for all town departments. At present, the only detailed line-by-line budget I have seen publicly available is the Board of Ed. It was thorough.
It's on the town website.
Can't find the rest.
Board of Finance, budget information, there's the budget.
Yeah, we have a pretty detailed budget online.
I only saw the Board of Ed. That's
It's like 17 pages long.
Did anyone else see the full?
I saw it, yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's on
so
the town website.
I'm going to sit and I'm going to search because someone's going to help me find where it
Go
is.
to the Board of Finance board portion,
Yep.
and underneath it says budget information. When you select it, there's FY27, and there's probably 8 documents in there.
Okay, Brian, I'll look at that because I only saw the Board of Ed, but
Yep.
okay. So we have that breakdown. All right. I appreciate your time and consideration of these requests, and I hope the board will consider steps toward increased transparency, efficiency, and long-term fiscal planning for the benefits. One thing I also want to say, too, is for decreasing the, and no secret, I work for the senior center, program coordinator, working 25 hours. I'm going to work 20 because we're going to be closed on Fridays. Fridays are usually our fun we have fun all week, but we usually have big activities. We had our wonderful, none of you were there, but we had our wonderful annual barbecue at the hot day. It was a hot day at the Knights of Columbus Pavilion. So now we're going to be open, 28 hours a week. With that being said, we have, right now, when we're open Monday through Friday, an average of 38 people that come into us every day and come in for whether it's, we've got Jack, I'm not going to say Jack's age, but Jones, he's phenomenal, and he's doing chair aerobics twice a week. He comes for the meals and this and that. He's amazing, along with everyone else. Everyone at the senior center, I've been here a year, and they're just amazing. They're like family to us. So for 38 people coming, I don't understand why the library has 11 employees and they're open 47 hours a week. How many people come through the library every day? I've never stepped foot, but I will, because every time I hear when someone steps foot, they can't find anybody. They're like, where is somebody to help me?
That's not true.
I'm just saying, but I'm going to do my daily, let's go to the library and see.
There's always people there in the front.
But is there a tally? Like, we have a system, it's called My Senior Center, people check in. I'm just saying, how many people use the library? When you got this, you got your computer, maybe you go for book club, but we have book club. So I just feel strongly like that. 11 employees is really a lot. But thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lisa Horan, 43 Shady Dell Lane. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I'm so glad to see so many people here. This is how things get done in small towns, big cities, and I'm here at these meetings or watching at home all the time, and I really appreciate the work that all 3 of our main boards and Brian and the school's budget director, Stephanie, all the work that they do. I know how hard they work to make every single penny of our tax dollars do the most for us, so I appreciate it. Some of the comments tonight, the education budget needing to be separate from the town budget, while it is the lion's share of the overall spending in town, it wouldn't matter if it was separated or not. Our tax dollars still have to fund it, and the education budget at this point, because I also go to those meetings, is now at the point where they really can't cut anymore, and that's a state law. The state has established a minimum budget requirement that requires that towns spend roughly no less than what they spent the previous year. So they really can't cut much more according to state law. Another comment said the number of kids in class, that parents get upset if it's 20 now, and it used to be 30 with no problem. Research regarding education has changed a lot since maybe you had kids in school, and the effects of student-teacher ratios are indisputable, And today's students' needs are far more complex than they were when I was in school. I'm 64. So I don't have kids in the school anymore, but if I did, I wouldn't want them in a classroom with 30 kids. And I don't think any parent here in town would want that either. Someone else said that, people are voting no on the budget right now because they want to have a voice about what's going on in the country. I agree, and we all had that voice in November of 2024, and now we have what we have. And instead of, if you're frustrated about what's going on nationally and internationally, the answer isn't to take out your frustration at the local level where you can have a voice currently. Also, the shock about the cost of the senior center employees' health benefits tells me that people who are on Medicare, I won't be till next year, are out of touch with the cost of health insurance. My husband died age 41. I've been on a fixed income since then, and I buy an individual policy, and you would not want to know how much that costs each month. You wouldn't want to know. And it's basically just catastrophe insurance. So you might be out of touch with what that costs. There seems to be, I think, a big sticking point is the increase in assessments. I talked with the town assessor. She said in Summers the townwide average increase was 44%. And so I looked into why. Since 2020, U.S. home prices have surged by roughly 50%. It's a record appreciation primarily fueled by an historic collision of supply constraints and increased demand. And the supply constraints include historic housing shortage. The U.S. has been building too few homes for decades. Freddie Mac estimates that the housing shortage is 3.8 million units by the end of 2020. The pandemic increased the demand for housing and decreased the supply. People weren't starting new housing starts during the pandemic. Construction costs increase, labor costs increase, and also institutional investors, private equity firms buying up housing. That all has constrained supply. The demand increased in the pandemic because people wanted to get out of densely populated situations into a town like Summers where you have more space, you can work from home, you want more living space. And in 2020 and 21, interest rates were at record lows. So people who have mortgages from that period, they want to keep that locked in low interest rate, so they're not looking to sell. So that shrinks the housing supply more. So there's reasons for the supply and the demand, and Econ 101 tells you what happens when supply is lower than demand. Prices go up. The assessed value is a simple formula. Take the market value of your house, which you can look up on Zillow, Realtor.com, and multiply by 70%. So I would ask, what have you done about your assessment? Have you been into the assessor's office? I'm guessing you haven't, because I went in yesterday and she said, I'm here with my staff 4 days a week, ready and most willing to discuss assessments post-reval, but no one has come in. Do you know her and her staff's name? Karen Neal, Trish Thomas. The phone number, I have it. The hours, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. When I went into her office yesterday, I spoke with Brian Wissinger, CFO, Danielle Urban, the accountant, and I asked, is the company that does revals, Vision Government Solutions, reliable? Does anyone in town government spot check their work? All town employees assured me that yes, their work is A, monitored, B, spot checked, and C, reliable. Assessor Neal said that 2 people have come in to dispute their assessments. One said it claims she had a fireplace when she doesn't. The other said he had a pool when he doesn't. What did she do? She investigated how the mistakes were made. Usually it's a permit that was pulled to do a home improvement, but for whatever reason the work wasn't done. She saw that those improvements didn't exist. She removed those features from the property card, thus lowering the assessment for those two people who went in and talked to her. And the place where supply of and demand for housing, as well as increases in property values and assessments, and what that means in town, the place where those all come together is Assessor Neal informed me that of the following data for recent home sales in Summers. Just in the last 2 months, this is a list of home sales, which is public information. They sold for 20% over 2025 reval, 16% over, 4% under, 34% over, 30% over, 4% over, 21% over, 61% over, 28% over.
Lisa, could you wrap it up? We're going to talk about that later in the meeting. We're going to cover that. So
Yes. We all face in our home budgets increased costs due to a federal government that starts a war that disrupts oil prices and shipping of goods. A federal government that steers the road of lifting and imposing tariffs like a drunk driver, and near monopolies among manufacturers of essential goods, including meat processing and other goods.
okay, your time is up, by the way. Thank you.
Other people talked longer than I did.
I don't know that they did, but okay.
Sorry. Would anyone else like to speak this evening?
And Lisa, if you'd like to email us your full comments too, you're welcome to. I mean, I read every email, so, email them to us.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, ladies, hi. Steve Bercume from 35 Rye Hill Circle.
What's your last name?
Bercume, B-E-R-C-U-M-E. I've been a resident in Summers for 32 years. I've recently thought that I was going to retire. I've just turned 70. And I've never been more threatened of not being able to stay in my home after 32 years than I have once we announced the revaluation of our homes. I see a lot of older folks here. I imagine that many are in the same situation. I've raised my kids here. I have 3 girls. They went to the school system we chose from Enfield to Summers because of the school system. However, the reality of cost and expenses has to sink into all of us. We all want the services. We talk about the senior center. We talk about the police, the fire. Everybody wants services. But the bottom line is, the reality of it is we can't afford all these services. It's just got to get cut. It's got to stop. When I saw that budget, $1 million, and then I saw, yes, the woman that was speaking before, the revaluation, whose idea was that to come up with? It's recent. It's probably about an 8-year-old. They did it in Hartford about 8 years ago. All of a sudden, because housing is going up, it's a money grab. That's the way I think most residents are looking at it. And then we turned around and we had a 30% plus mill rate added to that $1 million budget to make $1 million increase, not $1 million budget, but $1 million increase or so in this year's budget that got voted down 3 times.
We'll discuss the reval.
I understand, that's fine, but the point I'm trying to make is that enough's enough, and we got to stop the spending. Everybody is all around us. The state of Connecticut is ranks 49th in the country. We're in Connecticut. I'm here by default because my parents lived here. I'm not here by choice, basically. I have kids here, stayed here, and I never thought I'd be threatened in Summers. And I know there's many people in this room, I don't see a lot of young folks here, but I know there's many people that feel their house is threatened because of taxes. We don't pay our taxes, you come and take it. That's our house. We paid for it for 30 some odd years, our homes. But we got to pay taxes. Well, Florida, as you know, just passed a no property tax state. You guys got to figure out how to get funding in other places. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how the governor's going to do it, whichever one it is. But we got to stop spending money. I can't spend money. Now, I don't know the people on the Board of Finance, if they're very well off. I know a few of them. Some are lawyers. They're, who knows what they're making a year? No problem. $1 million, everybody can afford that. Well, I can't, and I'm sure many people here can't. So we got to just knock it off, get the reality set in that we need to cut. And I don't know where we get the idea that we can't cut below the state from the last year's budget, because I'm understanding Ellington cut $452,000 from theirs from the year before budget. I don't know if it's true. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't care if it's true. I'm just saying that can't be real. I think we should be cutting and cutting big time. And no offense to the seniors, I'm a senior, but I would like the place to go to as a senior, because I'm getting older, but we have to think about really serious cuts, and that goes across the board. The school board, as far as that goes, the enrollment's way down. Way down.
It is.
Yet we're increasing crazy money. The school system is a good system, but I just don't think we're really living in reality here. At this day and age, the worst time you can come up with an increase in our property taxes, which I shouldn't have to pay the way I see it, and for the rest, I paid for my house, and I still have to pay for the rest of my life. Just have my house there. I mean, it's the way it is. So I get over it. The point is, we don't need more increases. We need less. Figure out how to cut the budget from last year. Take $1 million from last year's budget, and we'll make do. We'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
100%. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Yes, sir.
Up to you.
What? Either one of you.
Norman Mayette from 7 Hall Hill Road. I think the consensus here is that everybody's upset. What's frustrating is that all the people who voted no aren't here tonight.
I don't know about that.
700 people voted no.
Right, but I think the thing that we're looking at is that, and no disrespect to the senior citizen, but it seems like the meeting is leaned towards the consensus as to the construction and the progress of the senior citizen center. I suspect what I'm looking at is the expenditures that are taking place in town, and propose a 10% cut in every department in the town. 10% cut on every budget on every department in the town of Somers. I think the other thing that you're hearing now is the disappointment and the innuendos and misinformation. And I think there's a public consensus out there that we're not being transparent. We have projects that are in line, digital sign out front. People get frustrated or upset after the fact. We didn't need that. It's a continuing expense. You may not have seen that, but it's a continuing expense with the electricity, the internet, an IT person to function the operation, change the board. We're hearing expenses of $700,000 to remove trash from our transfer station. That scale should be self-supporting. Stafford pays $10 to go to their transfer station. We went from $65 to $80. No explanation. $80.
Exactly.
What's the revenue we're collecting off the bottles, the cans, the cardboard? Stafford has town-wide pickup of trash. I also propose that we take a look at the operation of the transfer station as far as the expenditure. Stafford has its own roll-off and cans. They haul their own trash. So if you're going to pay $700,000 to take trash away, spend the $350,000 to buy cans and a roll-off truck, and we do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
As far as appraisals, well, I'm just going to throw this out there. I was an employee of Vision Appraisal before it became Government Solutions. My own personal property, I've been there 20 years. I still have deficits on my street card that are inaccurate because of the data collector who takes the information. I'll just leave it at that. But I think we've got to stop looking at what we're doing here, what we're doing there. The whole thing has to be taken as a whole. Again, 10% cut from every department. You ride around town, we see the expenses that the municipality is doing very well at the taxpayer's expense. Maybe it's time to, I'm an outspoken guy, you know that. Maybe it's time to get rid of the old boys club. Sit down, sharpen the pencil.
Thanks, Norman. Yes, sir.
I feel pretty young here. There used to be a table and chair here, but there's budget cuts now. Matt Moylan, 119 Georgewood. You guys know me, I'm sure. A few things. I got something for all of you. Brian, thank you for sending that information over. It was helpful. Bill, I know you're a big numbers guy. I don't know if you saw what I posted on Facebook today, but
Speak slower, please, and into the mic.
Yes, no problem.
Raise the mic up. There you go.
So the school system, they've been renting the same storage containers for 6 years, $5,000 a year. 4 of them. They could buy them for $2,500 each. So they spent $30,000 over the last 6 years for the same 4 containers. That's just controlling spending. Do you agree?
You're talking about a Connex box?
Yeah, Connex.
Yeah, I would agree. They're about $2,500 to buy because I've bought them.
Shipping container. There's 4 of them sitting up in the student lot.
Yeah, they're about $2,500 a unit.
What are they storing in there? It's just saving money, the spending.
Yeah, agree.
Right? Just gotta look at that. Tim, you know where I live, right?
I do.
2,000 square foot house, right? You got a nice property over on Maple Street there. About 6,000 square foot, right?
That's right.
I know it's abandoned. My house is valued at $700,000. Yours is $32,000.
Can't lie.
Can you teach me where that little trick up your sleeve is?
I'm not sure where you get your figures from, but...
Right off the website.
Right off the website.
Right off the website, the property card. You're valued at $32,000.
For which buildings?
TK.
Associates.
No? Yep.
Abandoned one.
$32,000.
What about that?
I just want to know how you get it so cheap.
You ever been inside those buildings? Check it out.
The land's worth more than that.
You got to tear down the buildings, though.
Okay, it's still worth something.
Anyway, got it. What else you got to say?
Doesn't like being thrown up here, but you're in our pleasure.
I'm open.
Bob, 2 weeks ago, I like you. I'm not bashing on this, right? When we were talking about the rubbish station,
Yeah.
right? We all know who one of the biggest taxpayers are in town. They donate a lot to this town. Their banners are on every sports field in this town. You openly said right in the meeting that they're running a monopoly.
Of course they are. That's how many vote. That's what when Todd goes out for a bid. You know how many bids he gets.
Have someone else bid.
He's been trying.
Yeah, it's just not
He's been
professional.
trying. It doesn't happen. And you know, I hate to tell you, when I was teaching in South Windsor High School years ago, I had a kid come up and say, "Mr. Schmidt, you know what happened last night to my house? Somebody came by and shot all the windows out of our house and shot all the windows out of our cars." And I asked, "Well, that's crazy. I had no idea why that happened because I'd only lived in Connecticut for 4 years." And then I found out. The mob, they ended up dividing the trash removal system in the state of Connecticut.
And these are some of the comments we don't need. They don't belong in us.
No, but I'm trying to tell you, it's the truth.
Listen, that is not
one company that bids on your trash. That's it. One.
Okay. Nobody cares to.
Anybody getting up?
Yes.
I am.
Please do.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'm starting to be concerned.
You just have to say your name again, because people
I
watch
beg your
online.
pardon, not a problem.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir. My name is Michelle Young. I live at 447 Mountain Road in Somers. I've been sitting here listening for probably the better part of an hour. I've not looked at my phone because unlike a third of the Board of Selectmen, I am present where I am. I will remind you, gentlemen, very candidly, you are here at our leisure. You do not, and I repeat, do not have the luxury, the indulgence, or even the right to be argumentative, to be dismissive, nor to be arrogant. You don't have that right. As easily as we sat you here, we would be more than happy to see you go home. These are valuable, concerned individuals, and they deserve your respect. Now, while I may not have gotten that respect on the forum, where I was referred to as lazy and fat, I kid you not, okay, I demand, absolutely demand, the respect from my elected officials that we deserve. Mind your manners, gentlemen.
You got that respect.
I've got to say, the last four speakers have been like really good, which I just love. Thank you so much.
Get your mouth near that. Give me that microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've been here like too many times. I'm sorry to say, but
State your name and address.
Ann Levesque, 2304 Bridges Road, here all my life except 6 years. And I've been raised on a farm and, you know, the whole thing, gone through your educational system, raised a family, they've done the same. I've taught, retired, and come back to town, and I've volunteered my years of volunteer work, still doing it.
Yes.
I have a story to tell about retiring and going to a second home. That second home is the Summer Senior Center. And I've been here, got to know Donna at a Jimmy Maz concert with Tina Tui, who was a special person. And we looked at each other, and Donna was so great with her mother, who she invited there to enjoy this program, this show. And I said, we have a position open. Would you like to try for it? She did. And you invited her to join. And now we love her. It's like a second home to us. If you don't know what that is, when you're retired, then you're sitting home alone. And that's a sad, sad situation. We have a wonderful group, 3 people who are here working their butt off. We have Donna, who took care of us like a mother. We have Pam, who was our cook. And we have Darlene. Arts and crafts? Shirts, stuff like that. The best team I've had since I joined, and that was like about 15 years ago, when I retired from teaching. They are the best. They found Tina was such a special person. They made her feel like a member of our group. And I think that was the only employees that you hired in our senior center that understood Tina Tui, who just passed away about 6 months ago. We miss her. I went to see Brian because I was very concerned for 15 minutes, Brian? To understand how we're getting cut all the time. And it bothered me because we didn't need any more cuts. We love our group. It's a second home to many of us.
most of us, and it's our friends that understand what we're going through as seniors. It's a different age. You really need to be near people that understand you, because my grandkids don't. My son doesn't. I mean, he tries, but this is our second home. This is our new family that understand us. And to see our beautiful trio working for us so hard, there's ways to do this. I voted for the budget because you said, right, Brian, if this budget doesn't pass, we're going to get more cuts?
There will be more cuts.
Okay. I believe that, and I support it. That's the way I thought you were right on track. Well, we didn't make it, but I tried. The thing is, I was talking to a friend of mine in Stafford who is a town employee, talking about this referendum mess that we're in now. I truly call it a mess. She said, that happened to me in Stafford. She said, I got let go because of budget cuts. They called me back, and we negotiated something. We got furlough days where we could afford my comeback. Why can't we do this? Why can't we go ask for information from out of town like Stafford that is in such a clinch like this and not have to be in a budget mess? Why does senior services, why does the seniors have to take the butt of budget cuts every year? We're promised something. Yeah, we got the kitchen. Very grateful for the kitchen. But it's promise, and then Donna got let go. Donna was a wonderful addition to our group. She didn't let go. She decided to leave, but was trying to promote different things. But we're always at the end of the trail. Why can't we be counted? Why can't we look at these things that our last four speakers talked about? You got to get out of the box and get creative about this. But you can't keep saying we can't do it, we can't do it. Look around you. People are suggesting things. Go to another town to look for ideas on how they're doing this. Because this shows that you're heartless. I can't believe you are heartless about this. These are very important issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Devine, 39 Mill Ridge Road, Somers, Connecticut. I just have two simple questions, and it's about the assessments. The first question is, because I honestly do not know how it's done, I heard two things. How is an assessment done? I heard, first, it's about what your house has, the land, what's in it, how's it built, blah, blah, blah. Then I heard it's about comps. So could I just get an answer on that first by one of you?
It is based on, yes, fair market value of homes in town. Yes.
Of homes in town or around you?
In town.
Really?
That's not true.
So my house can be compared to someone else's across town? So I could say compare mine to something that's 1,000 square feet and mine's 3,000? I can just say do that?
But that wouldn't be a comp. Another 3,000 square
Well, you're
foot
just
house
saying
would
any.
be, but regardless of what road it's on, it would be compared to a similar style house, yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around that one. And the next thing is, I heard someone say, I forget who it was, it's been a long time, that you could go upstairs and talk to someone about your assessment, but this is a fact. I know my best friend tried. They had to have an appointment and then something happened, they missed the appointment, and they said, too bad, oh well. So you can't just go up there and talk.
You can go up there and talk, yes. And if there are true disputes on your property card, they would be adjusted. What your friend is referring to is the Board of Assessment Appeals, and that, again, is set by statute. That's not something that we can willy-nilly change whenever we want to. When the reval is done, and every year Board of Assessment Appeals is open at the same time of year for anyone, regardless of reval or whether it's just because you don't agree with the value of your home in that year. You schedule an appointment with Board of Assessment Appeals, you present your case, and they determine if your assessment is correct or not.
So I can just go in, like tomorrow, just walk in and talk about it?
Well, you can't tomorrow because they're closed.
Oh, Friday you close.
Yes.
Monday.
If you came in on Monday, Karen will be sitting there,
Cool.
and you can talk to Karen.
All right, thank you,
But I
guys.
think the example given was like a property card said that there was a pool on the property, but there's no pool.
No, I'm
Like
just
in that
asking about
case,
going in,
Karen would make the
finding
adjustment.
out.
Yeah, but sometimes people say, I don't agree with the comps. I don't think you marketed it fairly. There's a process
Yeah,
with
sure.
state law. Exactly.
No, I'm just trying to find out the general idea.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Go back.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Go back, why? Ask him about, commercial property. I know nothing about commercial property. I know nothing about it.
Sorry.
Just a quick comment for the Board of Education. I'm Lorraine Wetherill, Billings Road, Somers, Connecticut. Our teachers evaluated, are they unionized so they get raises every year, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. When my son started school, he had a kindergarten or first grade teacher that never should have been there. I wonder if the teachers are being evaluated by whom, and are they really getting increases in pay because they deserve it, or are they earning it because they have been evaluated? And there's probably some teachers here that could have their positions reduced or not in anymore. I wonder how that is handled, because that's the biggest cost we have in this town, is the Board of Education. So I think it's very important that we have the best teachers we can have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Darlene McCrae, 47 Brayburn. Just one quick question on the assessments. Was commercial property reassessed also?
Yes.
It was?
It's a full reassessment of everything.
All properties?
All properties.
Commercial, business, it's, okay.
And cars is the other piece, too.
Yeah.
And personal
Cars are now done by state law, so cars used to be part of it, they're not anymore.
I just have one more. Regarding Hillsdale, I looked up the VGS appraised value, $4,896,700. Zillow says $4,839,400. If you multiply by 70%, the assessed value would be $3,427,690. If they paid taxes last year at a mill rate of 30.21, the town would have gotten $103,550 in revenue, but we get nothing.
Why? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak this evening?
We definitely should.
No. We'll let Ryan handle it. Not at this time. This is public.
Maybe one more.
One more.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not quite understanding it.
Great.
And I could be totally off on it, so. My name's Tracy Wiley, 54 Lubier Drive. Just a quick question, and back to the assessment evaluation. So if a house is 300 square feet and another house is 200 square feet, but yet they're assessed at the same value, how is that?
That would be a question for the assessment.
Because if you go around and look at all the different houses, which we've done in all different areas, that's why we thought maybe it was comparable to the neighborhood that we live in. They're all over the place, completely all over the place. So it's
It
just,
would be a better question for the assessor.
okay, so that's something that I could just go up to the assessment office and ask.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Yes, sir. sir.
Just to answer her question on that, there are a lot of parameters when you get into reevaluation. It could be based on, for example, when I said I was previously employed with Vision Appraisal, some town assessors set some of the parameters they're assessed. For example, if you had a standard 3-tab shingle, your assessment was less than it was with an architectural shingle. If you had cedar siding, shakes compared to vinyl siding, your assessment's higher. So you could answer the question about a 3,000 square foot house or a 1,000 square foot house. That's the reason why you probably have a higher assessment. Hardwood floors versus carpet. It's the parameters of what's made up in the reevaluation.
And if the property's sold, they use that value as well, right? If the property's sold,
Right.
that would, so sometimes the property will turn over in the market and then that supersedes the assessment for what is it, 5 years?
Yeah.
Considering
For 5
that
years.
as an expert, when can we have Vision come in and stand in front of us and ask questions of an expert?
I doubt they would do that, to be honest with you, but we could request it.
What did you say?
I mean, it'd probably be appropriate for the
I
assessor to
want
come
the
in and just
assessment company
present.
to come here. I want to hear an expert.
I think you're right, it'd be the assessor.
I think the town assessor maybe could come and give a brief presentation. I mean, a lot of you, I think, also have friends who are real estate agents, and I think a lot of them are very well versed as well. And I think there's a lot of similarities between how real estate agents, but it's a good point, and I think we could ask our assessor.
If you would, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's just complicated. I mean, I think it is complicated, and people don't always agree on it. Agreed.
Let's learn.
Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight for public comment? Okay, we'll get on with the meeting. Thank you. Next on the agenda is presentations by First Selectmen. First of all, I'd like to say that Scott Kritsky, who has been to several of our Board of Selectmen meetings and raised the issues dealing with local fair rent commissions and also landlord registry. He's interested in both here in town. We'll bring up those issues, we'll discuss those issues at our next meeting on July 2nd. I'd also like to congratulate the Summers High School women and men lacrosse teams for their unprecedented team winning the State Class S championships this past weekend. This really is unprecedented what they've accomplished, and much goes not only to the team but also to Coach Colton and Coach McCarthy, their respective coaches. Again, the women won 11-10 over Laurel Hall, and the men won 9-8 over Suffield last weekend. Next on the agenda, presentation by boards and commissions. We have WPCA, Water Pollution Control Authority, requests a movement of someone from the board to an alternate and one of the alternates to the board. So, someone can make a motion to appoint Mark Folsom as an alternate member of the WPCA.
Happy to make a motion to appoint Mark Folsom as an alternate member of the WPCA and
With a term.
with a term date of 12/22/26.
Very good.
Is this something that they request, their existing members, and we're
Yeah,
transferring
these are the existing members who requested this.
Sorry, Steve. Oh, he's here. Okay, sorry.
There we go.
Hi. Good evening. Steve Getman. I'm chairman of the Summers Water Pollution Control Authority. Our vice chairman, Mark Folsom, has a very serious illness and is undergoing debilitating treatments. He informed us at the last meeting, he informed us that he didn't think he could carry on as vice chairman.
Okay.
But he would like to stay on the WPCA. So he asked if it was possible for him to step back to an alternate position, still be in touch with the board because we do Zoom meetings, whatever else. Okay. That leaves a vacancy on the board. So one of our two alternates need to be promoted up to a regular member. And Michelle Michaels is the person that I would like to see appointed as a regular member.
Thank you for that explanation. Great.
So this is being done at the request of the member?
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll second that motion.
Very good. All those, any further discussion on the motion? All those in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Next is we need a motion to appoint Michelle Michaels as a full member of WPCA.
Happy to make a motion to appoint Michelle Michaels as a full member of the WPCA for a term date of 12/22/28.
Second that.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Opportunity to add urgent agenda items. Do we have any tonight? I don't believe so. We have none. Finance, transfers and appropriations, we have none. CFO's report and update.
I'll just give you one quick update. I know this is something that'll probably make you happy, Tim. We completed the applications for the elderly and disabled tax benefit this year. There were 62 applicants this year. Some were renewals and some were new for the elderly disabled tax relief program. Of those 62, 15 of them would not have qualified if not for the new income limit of $70,000 for the town benefit. And while those 15 don't qualify for the state benefit because they're over the state allotment, they do qualify for the town. There are 32 accounts that did not need to reapply this year. There's currently a total of 94 accounts. We expect to have more next year as the people who are up for renewal next year and new people who may have discovered the program. The total tax benefit to those that applied is $186,060. So I commend you for pushing that ordinance to get modified and updated, and 15 seniors in town are receiving benefits because of it. So thanks.
Thank you for that report. Appreciate it. Presentation of scheduled payments.
Happy to make a motion to authorize the payments in the amount of $370,080.44.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in support say aye.
Aye.
Bob?
Aye. Sorry.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Is that better?
Thank you. There you go.
Thanks for this time.
Okay, next on the agenda is updates from boards and commissions. We have none, I believe. Old business, we have none. New business, request to hire the following individuals as summer camp counselors for the 2026 camp season, starting June 22nd, 2026 through August 14th, 2026, at the following rates as presented.
Make a motion to approve the hires for our summer camp as presented on the agenda.
There are 21 different individuals.
Yes, they're all listed on the agenda. So people pay for this program, so people pay tuition to send their kids to camp. That tuition covers the cost for all the salaries for all these. They're making just above minimum wage, most of them. They're teenagers and other local youth.
Right. A lot of them are all residents of this town.
They make more than some daycare workers that handle infants. $24.50 an hour?
Well, that's the director.
It doesn't matter. It's still 24, 22. I'm just saying. It's a lot of money.
Okay, I mean, most of them are minimum wage.
Will we break even?
Yes, we will.
Actually made some money
We
every
will.
year. Yeah.
They do make
So something there is going to
They pay their own way, in other words.
They do.
That's what I guess.
They've been in the black every year.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Discussion and actions requesting Board of Selectmen enact Connecticut General Statutes 12-123. Selectmen to make rate bill when town fails to lay sufficient tax. Brian, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so what I'll start with is first a little bit of understanding, and then we can get into that. To speak to revaluation, Connecticut General Statute 1262 requires that revaluation be completed every 5 years. So I know it doesn't make residents happy, but it is required under state law that we perform that action. October 1, 2025 revaluation date. Real estate grew by 42.85%. Personal property declined by 7.78%. Motor vehicles grew by 4.59%.
Brian, what does real estate growth mean? There were 42.85 more buildings?
No, that the value. The value.
Okay. Let's present it.
Real estate bears the largest impact, but what does that mean for your tax bill? The common misconception is that my home's value grew by 42%, my taxes are going to be out of control. The statement is false and a general misconception of the process. The truth about reval, on average, home values grew up about 42% townwide. Today's general housing market supports this growth. Since revaluation was finalized in October, homes are selling for 20% higher than their valuation from just 9 months ago. We had a sale.
You want to just repeat that again, because that's an important point you just made.
Yeah. Since revaluation was finalized in October, homes are selling for 20% higher than their valuation from just 9 months ago. It shows the way that the market is going. We had a sale that processed today. The revaluation of the home from October 1. We had the home valued at $625,000. That makes the assessed value $437,500. The house sold today for $800,000. Okay? So I understand the frustration of my house is worth more money. We're still not even catching up to where that house is going to sit on our books for the next 5 years at $625,000, while its value is going to continue from $800,000 and up to grow. So, the revaluation impact, the truth is, in 2024, the average assessment was $323,757. At the 30.21 mill rate that was set at the time, the average tax bill, $9,781. After reval, the value of the average assessed home is $463,176. We then equalize the mill rate, 22.4. The average tax bill then becomes $10,375. It's a $594 increase. Now, this is actual data, real from our assessments. And we'll get into what it should have been in a minute. Motor vehicle, the average value of motor vehicle,
Would you just want to explain why revaluation doesn't increase
I will in a
taxes?
minute. I will in a minute. So, average motor vehicle, $25,000 at the 30.21 rate, $755 you would have paid for your motor vehicle. That same one after revaluation, mill rate becomes 22.4. The bill is now $560. It's a $200 reduction in motor vehicles. So it's a net increase of $400. The impact, the grand list growth, and you can see, like I said, real estate grew 40%. Personal property went down, motor vehicle grew. When you look across the board, the taxes that were coming out of it, we would generate, at the same equalized mill rate, we would generate $1.4 million more in real estate taxes, but we lose that same $1.4 million in motor vehicle and personal property. So why is there such a large growth? Simply stated, revenues decreased because there's no more fund balance to use. The town of Somers has become dependent upon using fund balance to defer tax increases. Fiscal 2026 had a mill rate of 30.21. However, the mill rate should have been 33.11. The 2.9 mil difference has been paid by the town's savings account. That reduction in revenues is what's driving the mill rate increase. Reval is not the enemy. Poor taxation is the enemy. Since fiscal 2022, the Town of Summers has deferred tax increases on residents amounting to 2.9 mils, $2,780,402 from our reserves used to offset tax increases. These are one-time dollars paying for recurring costs. Okay? Without using the fund balance the last 5 years. The average assessed home, still the same. The hypothetical mill rate would have been 33.11. Your tax bill would have been $10,720 last year. Reval would have happened. The value of the home would have gone up. The mill rate still would have been adjusted to 22.4. $10,375 would have still been the new tax bill. Your home taxes would have gone down by an average of about 3%. Related to your home, if every year, okay, you have a checking account and a savings account. If every year you took $1,000 from your savings account to pay for your car insurance, and you did not replenish that $1,000, instead of incorporating it into your budget and charging yourself $85 a month for that same car payment, when the savings account reaches zero, you still have to pay for the car insurance. The expense doesn't go away, but the ability to pay it does. You should never use one-time dollars to pay recurring expenses. Our fund balance reserves are our savings account. They're one-time dollars. Our fiscal 27 budget, $41,990,005, same budget that we operated on in fiscal 26. The revenues that we generate without taxes, $11,480,630. Last year, that number was $12,500,000. The difference is the fund balance usage. The funding gap, still the same. The grand list changes, the mill rate was equalized. But to fill that funding gap, you take that $30,509,000, you divide it by the grand list number, and it generates 23.36. 22.40 is not enough to cover the current expenses because revenues are not the same as they were last year. The $1.1 million that was used right there is now what we're trying to fund with taxes. It had nothing to do with reval and had everything to do with our deferral of taxes. And eventually, you kick the can down the road, and eventually you can't kick it any further. So the options are, yes, you either tax higher, or you cut that $1.1 million of expenses that now has to be made up by 0.96. We began cutting it, and I heard from everybody here, we began cutting it. We had to make decisions. Do you get rid of a firefighter? Do you get rid of paramedics? Do you get rid of cops? Do you shut down the senior center for a day? Do you shut down the transfer station for a day? Hard choices were made. Hard decisions were made. None of them were personal. All of them were, I mean, this is a giant business we're running at a $42 million budget. I heard from one gentleman, cut $1 million from last year. To cut another $1 million, yeah, you're closing some serious things down. If you wanted to get to that same, my taxes do not grow one bit, you're not going to have much left in town to tax. You're going to have, or for purpose at least, you won't have a senior center. You won't have a transfer station. You won't have a library. The library budget itself is $500,000. It doesn't even come close. That's only half of the gap that we need. So I understand the frustration, but at the same time, no one complained for 5 years when we didn't tax them. And we ran out of money to not tax with anymore. And that's poor decision by the people at that time.
And the bottom line is that citizens, residents, saved money because they didn't pay those taxes in those years.
Right.
So just don't forget that.
That $2.7 million is about $1,500 per resident that was not taxed.
Right.
Which is why then when you see the mill rate increase and everybody's saying my taxes are going up $1,500, $2,000, for 5 years, we didn't collect that from you, and it's, it's unfortunate. However, we do still, like I said, we have a business to run. We have bills that have to get paid. We have, bonding notes that are due. Money has to come in. As we approach the beginning of the new fiscal year without an adopted budget in place, I request that the Board of Selectmen act pursuant to the authority granted under Connecticut General Statute 12-123, that states that when any town has failed to lay necessary taxes or to lay a tax which, in addition to the other estimated yearly income of the town, is sufficient to pay the current expenses of such town, its selectmen shall make a rate bill upon its last completed grand list for the amount necessary or for an amount sufficient to pay the deficit in such current expenses and cause the same to be collected as taxes. Due to the town's inability to adopt a budget and consequently establish a mill rate, there's currently no revenue mechanism in place to pay obligations as they become due. Based on the advice of legal counsel, the Board of Selectmen has the authority to establish a mill rate and an amount sufficient to address the deficit in current expenses. The proposed budget reflects the mill rate necessary to meet those current expenses. This authority has been used by other municipalities to establish a mill rate when a budget has not been approved by the voters and the start of a new fiscal year is imminent. In such circumstances, the town must still proceed with adopting a budget. However, the mill rate established by the Board of Selectmen becomes the operative mill rate and may not be changed.
So what is the mill rate that you would recommend to pay bills while we have a no confidence referendum, budget referendum?
So there's two answers to that, and it depends on how you view the current operations. My personal opinion is the current operations of the town are a 4 days at the transfer station, is 5 days at the senior center. It is town hall hours, how they are. It's like that's our current operation, and under my understanding of what is being told to me, that's the current operation that is. To do that, we would need a mill rate of 23.46.
And that also includes the human services individual that otherwise would be terminated.
No, that does not.
What about the library? Does not.
That does not.
Okay.
If a budget passes that does not include those expenses, such as if a budget passes that has the senior center closing one day, has the transfer station closing one day, the additional mill or 1/10 of a mill that would be used for that would then be adjusted for the January payments of taxes and would be credited to each individual account, and the operations would change. My personal opinion is that the current operations are as such, but I leave that up to you all.
What about the library?
What about the library?
But they don't get any cuts?
They have gotten cuts.
I mean, we cut materials from the library, yes.
Cut material?
10,000.
People, yeah. Yeah, I understand. $5,000 from their library.
If you adopt the 23.36, is that what you're saying with this?
23.46.
23.46. And we do not, and we continue to decline a budget. In January, we'll get a credit in our taxes. The difference between what we elect as a budget and the mill rate we're paying?
Correct. Once a budget is finally adopted. Correct.
That's not what I heard. There was a sentence somewhere about 2 paragraphs ago where you said, "and will not change." It was when you were reading the statute and
the mill rate would be the operating mill rate. Yes.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. You said, "and will not change." Look back on your speech.
Yes.
You're correct.
Please.
You're correct.
So are we or are we not potentially getting a credit in January when you just said the mill rate cannot change given the statute? Which is it?
You would get a credit, and this is a base mill rate. Okay, so the base mill rate cannot change. You would receive a credit if the budget that passed required, say, 25 mills, and they had set the mill rate at 23.46, the Board of Finance has the authority to issue a supplemental tax bill, but it is not part of the base mill. The base mill rate would stay what it is.
Okay, you've got a room full of people who have absolutely no idea what you just said. You've got a whiteboard and a pen? Am I wrong, guys?
I don't know.
Yeah, right. What did he say?
Can you do it like the average home value and say what would happen for?
Thank you.
I can't on the fly.
Yeah, no. I
So if whatever mill rate is set, whatever the Board of Selectmen decide, whatever mill rate is set, that is the base. That is, that number will not change. So when fiscal 28 budget comes around, that would be the starting point. Okay. However, if the budget does not require that mill rate, credits are given from the actual collections. So if you paid me $250 and I only needed $200, your second $200 would become $150. Collectively, it would still be the same $400. If the budget that passed required a 25 mill rate, the Board of Finance could issue a supplemental tax bill of 1.6 and require everyone to pay that. But the base mill rate stays the same.
I don't get it. I'm not kidding you. And I'm not a stupid woman.
I understand.
So, I can add a little bit more context. I think, you're asking a good question. It's question, so we met with our town attorney prior to this.
I don't care what the attorney thinks. This is my money.
I care what the attorney thinks, because I think
to be respectful.
Yeah, I think we have a duty to follow sound legal advice. We're in uncharted territory. This isn't something that we've ever faced before as a town.
We also have a charter that we have to live by.
And we have, the problem we have with the town attorney, and we asked him some hard questions, is we have a state law that somewhat conflicts with the charter. And what he's told us is that the charter, what they call home rule, prevails in some ways, but at the same time, the state law lets us set a tax rate so the town doesn't go bankrupt. Because unlike the federal government, we don't have the full faith and credit of the whole world where we can issue debt. If the town of Summers goes bankrupt, it's going to take us 20 years to recover, because they're going to pull our credit rates. We have bonds outstanding, we have loans, we have notes. You can look at other towns, Central Falls, Rhode Island, there's a county in Pennsylvania, there's one down in Georgia that went bankrupt. Bridgeport went bankrupt. The state steps in. It's extreme measures. So, we haven't gotten there yet. I think that's another discussion as far as what's that mill rate, what action do we take. I'm not sure that there's 100% clarity on the ability to raise taxes versus the continued referendums that the charter requires we hold. I think the charter was written without keeping in mind, we could be voting in January. If it keeps
every
getting
2 weeks between now and January.
$5,000 each.
Going to 10.
But the problem we have, and just to explain it, and Brian did, but to summarize it, there's 3 buckets of money for the town budget. So there's the Board of Education, it's about 28 million?
30.
30.
Yeah, about 30.
About $30 million. There's a law called the minimum budget requirement. State law prohibits us, like was said, from reducing the board below their expenditures from last year.
Correct.
And our legal counsel has confirmed that. You can apply for an exception from the State Commissioner of Education. It's probably at least a 3-month process. It's very unlikely we will get granted that exception.
There are certain conditions that
that we need to meet. So we would need to apply to the state and get granted that exception. It's not really an option. So the second bucket of money, so $30 million to the Board of Education, about $2 million is bonding and capital.
Yep.
So these are long-term debts that we've issued. The bonds have already been issued. It's like your mortgage. You can choose not to pay your mortgage. I think you all know the consequences. Same thing for the town. Same consequences. Creditors are going to come in. They're going to take action. It's going to be bad. Okay? The third bucket of money, it's about $9-ish million?
9.2. Yeah.
9.2 million is our town government. Okay? We could cut $1 million out of our town government. It's on the table tonight. We can do it as the Board of Selectmen. What's it going to look like? I heard the library. We could cut the entire library. We'd save $500,000. It's on the table. It's on. I've heard you all loud and clear. Okay? We can cut our fire department. We can cut a police officer. What's it going to look like with a police officer cut? When you call 911, they're going to be coming from the barracks in Talent. Is that what we want? We can do it.
We don't have to do that anyway.
So, I mean, we're backed into a corner. It's a corner that was 5 years in the making. You know, if you've watched the meetings, we've had some spirited discussions. Brian and I have been talking about this for 5 years. For 5 years.
So have I.
And, you know, the Board of Finance has the authority. I don't. Tim doesn't. Bob doesn't. Okay? I mean, we spent fund balance, like Brian said last year, to balance the budget. It put us into a hole.
And it's no longer available.
And so one of the things as well about with the fund balance itself, I mean, we spent $2.7 million of fund balance. Right? That's real cash that was sitting in the bank, earning bank interest. It is a revenue source for the town, the earning monies. We spent it. In a couple of years, we're going to need a fire engine. A fire engine's going to cost you $1.5 million. That fire engine could have been
a decision that you made.
It's not a decision I made.
Somebody made it.
The Board of Finance.
The Board of Finance did.
Hold on.
Yeah, the Board of Finance made decisions to use the. Hold on a second, just a sec, folks. We need to have an orderly meeting.
We don't get it.
Right. So,
yeah.
In a few years, we're going to need to buy a fire engine. We could have instead used fund balance, paid cash, done. We don't owe anything on it. Instead, now we're going to have to issue debt on it and pay interest. The difference is, instead, we use the fund balance to keep the tax rate low.
But you're not
and you
answering
can
my
only
question.
do that for so long.
But that was your decision to keep the tax rate low.
That was the Board of Finance's decision. That was the Board of Finance's decision.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't.
Well, and voters voted for it at the referendum, so that was part of the budget that people voted for. I mean, it was in there in the budget when people voted last year.
Hang on.
Well, we just have to speak one at a time.
In real time?
What's the question?
Mine? Okay,
Well, ma'am, Michelle, with all due respect, you know, during this is not the public comment. I don't think the chairman, the first selectman, I don't think we mind hearing from residents and answering questions. We just have to do it orderly because, you know, we have to just speak one at a time. I mean, really, the board members are the only ones that are supposed to speak right now under Robert's rules, but I think because, well, I'm telling you under Robert's rules, I think though we're willing though to hear from people. I'm not saying we don't want to hear from you. I'm just saying we got to do it orderly. We can't shout out from the audience because there's 50 people here. That's all we're saying. And the chairman runs the meeting.
Yeah, we've already received public comment for over an hour and a half.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
I think we understand what your concerns are. We'll take them into consideration. I think what's on the table right now is that we need to set a mill rate in order to pay the bills for the town. And this is a state statute that requires this, basically. So that's what we're doing this evening. So I'd like to make a motion that we set the mill rate at, I think what you recommended was 23.46
That's correct.
mills, which is what we need to pay our bills while we're trying to figure out what kind of budget referendum we're going to be able to pass.
I'll second that.
I mean, for discussion, I mean, I would like to have a little bit more discussion before a vote's taken, if it's okay. I do want to make sure that we answer some of the questions in the audience, but I mean, I don't know that we're going to be able to answer everything, but we can try to do the best we can.
I don't see anything of the $653,000 that was issued by the state in any of your paperwork up here.
So the extra supplemental appropriation you're talking about?
Yeah.
So that was incorporated into both the town and the
It's
school?
totaled into that $11,480,630.
That's the transparency that we're looking for as to where's the
I
money
didn't put it
coming
in
from.
this. It's online.
Okay, the money. What about the solar panels that are being installed? Where's that revenue going from?
There is no revenue from that.
There's no revenue?
No, it's just a reduction in our cost of electricity.
But sir, you raise a good point that I think we should talk about for a second. So one of the problems facing us, and Brian mentioned, is a reduction in state aid to Summers.
Yep.
So you look at towns, particularly our large cities, got enormous amounts, disproportionate to population, state aid, right? Summers got very little in state aid. It's a problem. You know, we pay a lot of taxes into Hartford, and we did not get the money back. And that's one of the challenges we're facing. I mean, you've seen, Brian, what's been your reduction in state aid over the last 2 years?
Close to $1 million.
Close to $1 million. So that's almost one full mill reduction in state aid from our, they had a supplemental grant for municipal aid, our pilot fund. I mean, many things. They gave us a little bit of one-time money.
$227,000, I believe.
$227,000 is all the town of Summers got, except for we got a small appropriation for education, but that has to be in the form of a budget increase to the schools, and that's how the legislature adopted the law. So the schools are getting a slight budget increase, but the legislator told us we had to. So we can't spend the money any other way.
Right, if we don't appropriate it, we give it back.
We give it back.
What would the mill rate have been after the failed third referendum?
23.36, I believe.
So why wouldn't you vote on 23.36?
Well, that's the discussion, and that's, I think, the discussion, sir.
That's because that mill rate was based on certain reductions that are being
So that's my question, Tim.
recommended.
The
Yes, sir.
2336 that you represented on the budget up there represents the cuts to the senior center, the
Exactly.
station.
Exactly.
2346 would restore
Yes, it would.
the senior center, the
Yes, it
transfer
would.
station, as well as the administrator.
Thank you.
So a 0.1% more in a mill rate that you're probably going to vote in will put all those people back on their jobs.
You're right.
Tim would have his job back, you're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Our job back? All right.
Yes.
And human services, though, right?
Not human.
Elaine, you want to come up to the microphone?
Human services as well?
No, it would not include human services.
Not in that.
As I stated, Elaine Friedman from Billings Road in Summers. I have a really off-the-wall question for you. Why aren't we encouraging more small businesses in this town to offset some of the taxes?
I'm glad you raised that question, because it's an outstanding question. I was on the Economic Development Commission in this town for 10 years. Every time we tried to get businesses into this town, the people in this town would make sure that it didn't happen. I remember when we were trying to get a CVS?
CVS, I remember it very well.
Okay, let me just say, we do have some new businesses that are coming to town. So you just can't make a blanket statement, we're not looking for.
No, I said, why aren't we encouraging?
We absolutely are encouraging.
I remember years ago, our planning and zoning, I believe it was that department from the land use department. Every time someone wanted to come in, they discouraged or said flatly no. And
That's not the case now.
Those of us that were on boards at that time, we fought with the town planner several times because our tax base would change and alleviate some of the property taxes for our homes.
Absolutely.
And so I'm bringing it up to you again. It would be awfully nice for us, and I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, you people remember the company Conval?
Yes, remember that.
You remember the company? Well,
Sure.
they were asking to expand, and they wanted to have a bigger business. And we said no, and they went to Enfield. This is the kind of stuff that's been going on in this town for decades. And that's why we don't have a tax base, because we don't have businesses. People, a lot of times, other things, people don't even want to bring sewers into this town.
Yes, sir. We have some comments?
I just had a question. The requirement for the Board of Education budget to remain level, is that on a per-student basis, or is it on an overall budget basis?
Overall budget basis.
Overall budget.
So, yeah.
Well, and sir, I mean,
it doesn't make sense if you cut the people you are serving in half, that budget has to remain.
So that's one of the requirements. So if there's a drastic drop in population in the
One
school,
exemption.
over a 5-year period, there has to be a steady decline in population. That's an option. You can propose to have a less than zero budget. If we close the school, which we don't have the ability to because we only have 3 of them, you could reduce it then. The other two, I don't think we would ever qualify. I forget what they are. I'd have to Google them, but we don't meet the qualifications is what it boils down to. Our student, the student decline that people see isn't really a true student decline.
What was your question to begin with? I think
No, I just wanted to know how that zero was calculated, if it's on a per student basis, we have to remain the same, or
overall budget.
It's an overall, it's one line, the total budget.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill.
Was there another question? Sorry.
Catherine Mashak, 54 Springfield Road. I've had a business in this town for 31 years. This is the worst year I've had yet. You want small business in the town? Then the people who live in this town need to support it. They're not.
All right.
There were 60 people in this room to begin with. Some have left. Maybe 5 to 8 people have actually stepped through the threshold of my door. So keep ordering online and see how high your taxes go.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I would say, just to conclude, my comments before the board takes a vote, I mean, my feelings on it, I have a problem with voting for anything above the 23.36, because not only did it fail, we asked a question, was the budget too high or too low? And I think all but 10 people said the budget was too high. So, I mean, I, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, have a problem with voting for something that's higher than what people told us loud and clear is too high.
But the fact of the matter is, the current budget requires 23.46 mills to pay for it. Our current budget that we currently have this year. I mean, we want to continue that without cuts that have yet been approved by a referendum.
But I've heard loud and clear the points that have been made. I mean, if you watched our meetings in January, February, we do go through line by line. If you watched last meeting, I wanted to make some different cuts, that were other cuts to areas. I'd like to make our rec fund more self-sustaining so that, the taxpayers aren't carrying the burden of the staff. I agree some of the library. I think there are some other items. I mean, you've heard I've been very vocal about our fire department responding out of town. We're doing 20 to 25% of our calls out of town. So Summers is paying for it, but Stafford and Ellington are getting the benefit. We've taken a lot of steps to get it under control, but we're not quite there yet. We're in a lot better shape than we were 4 or 5 years ago, but we're not quite there yet. I think everybody, including the schools. I've pushed the schools. I've met with the superintendent. I've talked to staff. Our high school in 2019 had about 100 fewer kids than they do right now, and they have the same staff in that school, the same number of teachers. So, it's hard questions, and, jobs can be eliminated through attrition. It doesn't need to be layoffs, and, people leave every year. People can get moved around, so.
That's part of their plan.
So I think there's some good points raised. I've heard loud and clear. I just can't support a budget that's above the 23.36. I don't want the town to go bankrupt. I think the selectmen tonight have to levy a tax because Brian needs time to send bills and collect money. And he's telling me that by August 15th, we're going to be out of money. And we're in that narrow window. We can't be insolvent. But at the same time, I think we need to pass a responsible budget.
I still think we need a 23.46 mill rate set this evening to pay for the bills that the town has currently signed up for.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, sir.
this is only going to be the 23.6. You're only going to need that until this budget is passed.
That's correct.
Okay, so then you don't need it for the full year.
That's correct.
Why do you need
This is a temporary requirement so the town can continue to pay its bills.
I understand that, but you're not going to reduce the mill rate immediately. The mill rate is going to stay fixed. We may get a rebate at the end of the year.
Mill rate is determined by the referendum on the
I
budget.
understand that. But you're fixing that mill rate today.
That's for a temporary purpose, to pay our bills.
Didn't you just say that mill rate
Stays the base mill.
won't be fixed for this year?
For this year, that would be the fixed mill.
For this year?
That's correct.
Okay.
But you're saying that wouldn't change on a referendum budget that's...
When the Board of, when and if a budget passes, when the Board of Finance then sets the mill rate to pay for that budget that passes, whatever that mill rate is, whatever the delta is between those two.
That becomes the mill
If it's
rate.
lower, it gets credited directly to the taxpayer. If it's higher, then a supplemental tax bill is sent.
When does it get credited?
January.
January.
That's correct.
So we're paying the high rate for the entire year.
No, for 6 months.
For the first half of the year.
For the first half of the year,
That's correct.
before we get the rebate. So you don't really need that extra money if you're anticipating this particular budget to pass. It didn't pass the last time.
Right.
So we're going to be looking for a lower budget, hopefully, to vote on the next referendum. Perhaps that'll pass.
No,
They don't need that higher rate.
because he read a state statute that allows
So
him
you're only
to ask
talking about a 6-month period at most.
to show game.
Yeah, I think you got a motion on the table, we need a vote.
Yes.
All those in support of setting the mill rate at 23.46,
3.6.
say yes. Yes.
It says 3.6 up there.
Well, yeah. Bill?
I'm opposed. I'm opposed to 23.46.
So it's 2 to 1, bill passes, motion passes. Thank you.
So that's based on which budget? A new budget's going to come out, or based on?
Based on the existing budget that we have.
The existing
Right now.
operating.
Correct, right now.
For fiscal 26, the same number that we're operating.
Not again?
Those are our current expenses.
Did you review the cuts that you're proposing now?
We haven't proposed any new cuts.
So the senior center was 5 days a week, all that.
With the 23.46, nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Until the budget is adopted by the voting public, nothing changes.
So when it's adopted,
When a budget is adopted, whatever that budget contains for what its spending plan is going to cover, then that is when things will take effect.
so what are you proposing for that? It's not clear in my head what you're proposing.
Next referendum is June 30th.
If you're,
We've got to set that
You
date.
gotta set that date.
Next we have to set a date for the next referendum, which is 30 June.
So I'd make a motion to add an item to our agenda tonight. I'd like to add the setting of a date for a referendum for the budget. So that's the first one.
I'll second that motion.
Do you want to go ahead and put July 13th on there? Just July 30th?
Yeah, do the July 13th,
Okay,
too.
so we just have to vote on adding the dates first, and then
Okay.
once we do that, we can actually make the motion for the dates.
Yeah, I'm happy to vote yes for adding the date.
All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen set a referendum date for June 30th, 2026, and
July 14th.
July.
if needed, a date of July 14th, 2026 for budget referendums.
Mr. Meyer, can you help us to understand what the next steps are? We understand everything that's happened here, but now, between now and June 30th, who's responsible for working on what, and what interaction might we be able to have?
Board of Finance will be meeting.
Yeah, so the Board of Finance has the sole authority to set the appropriation that goes to the referendum.
Okay.
If they decided to decrease it, they would then instruct either the Board of Education or the Board of Selectmen to make cuts. So the Board of Finance
But they're-
could tell the Board of Selectmen, reduce your budget by $250,000. It would then be up to us to go back to the table and determine where those cuts come from.
But there's a bar on any additional cuts of the Board of Education.
Yes.
State statute.
when's the Board of Finance next meeting, if you know?
June 25th.
Thank you.
But I think the issue is, to your question, is that they are not meeting before the next referendum. So I believe they met and they already set the amount.
So there's nothing new between now and what we're voting on next?
That's my current understanding, is they do not have a scheduled meeting before the referendum.
You said it was June 25th?
June 25th is a meeting, but that doesn't give them enough statutory time to legally set a new budget.
To read the print ballots. So the registrars need time to print ballots, and June 25th would not be enough
Legal notices
time.
have to go in the paper and so forth. So
Referendum.
the budget,
Potentially wouldn't be anything changed between
right, the
what we
budget,
just
the budget
voted
that will
down
be,
and June 30th?
Good
budget
question.
that will be at June 30th is the same 41,990,005 that was at the last budget.
Thank you. With the cuts. So then why we have.
Yes.
The charter says everything.
I have a question. It's changing
Sorry.
Just to let you know, by the way, the town charter requires that a referendum be held every 2 weeks, regardless. So that's why we're having this.
Thank you.
This is more of a personal question. My name's Debbie Blinn, 137 Mountain View Road, Summers. My husband was let go. He's a part-timer. They took away his job. So by voting yes on this, is he getting his job back? And are the other the full-timers who were brought down to part-time getting their jobs back?
The one, so based on the 23.46, that keeps the current operations as they are today. So anyone who is working for the town in a capacity today, whether it's full-time, part-time, whatever, 23.46 continues that.
Yes, the answer to your question is yes.
When a budget passes, should this 41,990,005 pass June 30th, then those cuts would then take effect. So the budget still has to pass. To raise the budget to the 42.5 million or 43 million, whatever it was, that incorporated everything before any cuts, would require a 24.5 mill rate.
But, I mean, the process would be that the budget would be adopted, and because the Board of Selectmen made the cuts formally at the last meeting, we would need then to vote at a subsequent meeting to reinstate it.
Right.
Because we would have an allotment, but we would need to then assign those dollars formally to a line item.
So we're still voting on all those cuts on June 30th.
On June 30th,
All of
right?
us that got, the town.
We are.
our
You're
letters.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the June.
That's correct.
Nothing changed.
Referendum on June 30th will be exactly the same as the last
Same number.
referendum.
That was what the Board of Finance said when they met this week.
So you're giving us the same exact budget that we just voted?
We are not.
So
So
you're
the Board of
negating our
Selectmen
vote.
only sets a date, just to be clear. We are only setting the date. The number on the question is set by the Board of Finance, not by us.
The Board of Finance is sending the same budget. The Board of Finance did not want to make more cuts within a 2-week window. So now they have put the same budget back out between now and if that one fails at July 14th would be the one following that. That budget would contain more cuts if the June 30th referendum fails.
Okay, I'm just a little confused. So are we going back to the very first one where there were no cuts?
They're elected boards. They're an elected board.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Sir, you have to come to the microphone. We can't hear you. You have to come to the microphone, sir. Yeah.
People talking. You gotta be quiet.
Frankie?
Frank Rookwood Woods Road. You're basically saying that without a Board of Finance meeting, that we're going to be looking at a referendum that's the same as we just voted on.
Exactly.
So we're shoveling shit against the tide, pardon my English. I mean,
Not wrong.
why even bother waste the money to have the meeting? Why not wait till July 15th?
Because the
and
charter,
have the Board of Finance
says we
meet?
have
The
to.
charter requires a referendum every 2 weeks until it passes.
So we're going to throw away $5,000 on the vote.
That's correct.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sir,
Does the charter allow, does the charter allow, given that we have to have the referendum, does it allow there to be, is there any vehicle where as taxpayers, we could, and I'm going to try to choose the correct language here and I'm going to fail, we could demand, we want a meeting with the Board of Finance, they don't get to do nothing for 15 days and we throw $5,000 away and June 23rd.
There's a special meeting. On the town calendar, there's a Board of Finance meeting scheduled. It's June 23rd.
Right, that one's being canceled. It was
It's not
the 25th. There wasn't a quorum for the 23rd.
I hope people understand that in the last vote, 17% of the voters opposed the budget. 4,761 registered voters did not even vote. So we have a very small percentage of the eligible voters who are turning this budget down. And I hope the people in this town realize that by just staying home and picking your nose, it's not going to help.
In previous referendums, what's the staff doing for previous referendums?
Vote yes.
No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is I would hope that people now, after this discussion, understand that if we continue to cut the budget, you're going to have a lot of services in this town disappear. They're going to disappear because we're not going to have the taxes to pay for the services that we're used to. And that's what you need to understand. It's nice to go in and say no because you don't want your taxes to go up.
I think, too, that what you're missing is that on this last budget, I'm looking at the budget that was in the last referendum, the numbers that you have here. The increases in salaries and a lot of the departments here were not touched compared to the previous year's budget, not touched. So there's a lot of room in this expense budget that can be cut without cutting services. That's right. And they weren't cut.
Just say that again, sir. Yeah, say that again.
In this budget that was cut. One was the landfill budget and the seniors budget.
Right.
Okay. All of the other salaries in this budget were increased significantly.
Those are current to date salaries, though. Those aren't proposed increases. Those are what people are making today. I understand it looks like an increase compared to the prior year. It's the way that the because raises were handed out after the budget was approved. Then and that's what looks like a growth in the budget.
Is that normal operations, is to increase raises in January?
Yeah, so it's one of the line items in the budget houses an amount of money, and then after the budget is approved, then that line item is then dispersed to all of the salaries.
So it was in the
So then it looks
budget.
like an increase.
But it was in the prior year approved budget.
Correct.
Salary increases.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
But could I get an answer regarding the Board of Finance? I don't know.
I don't think there's any vehicle that.
Does the charter give us any?
I don't think so.
Or you can send an email. I mean,
I can research
reach out.
it, but I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can send a message. But
Yes, Joan.
For clarification, the last budget proposal that was made was rejected. Okay.
Yes.
We had, I believe, documentation relative to, shall we say, a new proposal. What is going to be voted on June 30th? A revote of the one that just got flunked?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying that the budget that was rejected is going to be presented in the exact same format, same figures again?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
I think what they're saying is that basically he can sit here and read the state statute all day long. The bottom line is that if the referendum doesn't pass, state statute states they can impose tax rate and mill rate as to what the board says. And all I keep hearing is budget cuts, people losing their jobs. I don't hear anything about spending cuts.
Those are spending cuts. Those are budget.
What do you have in the pipeline that's coming up in expenditures in the next year? Can you disclose that?
What do you mean what's coming up in the next year?
Projects.
None.
Well, sir, I mean, to your point, and we've had this discussion, the first selectman can impose a budget freeze July 1st. I think that, we have plans to do things like that. So for town budget, essential expenses only. We did it this year already. We've imposed a budget freeze on our department. We did it, I think, in April?
It was either March or April.
March or April. I think that it would be the same idea that, we would do something like that similarly July 1st, essential purchases only, so that we're not, buying discretionary items that maybe can wait.
You mean like the sign out front?
That was done through a grant.
That was a state grant. We paid nothing for it.
Yeah, it was not taxpayer money.
Does that grant cover the continued use of the electricity, the internet, and the IT?
Our internal staff do the staff, the town clerk and the first selectman and Brian do it. But, yeah.
You know, so
does require
it's an expenditure as minor as it is.
Yeah.
So that's why I stated early, 10% cut right straight across the board on every department.
We heard you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. My only comment is to thank you for going out of Robert's rules and hearing us again.
Absolutely.
When you didn't have to. Appreciate it.
We appreciate everybody taking their time to come down and speak.
Joan, did you want to say something else?
Yeah.
One point of clarification. The budget upon which we're going to vote on June 30th, or whatever the date is,
Right.
is the one that was just recently rejected.
Correct.
That's correct.
That's the one. No changes made to
No
it.
changes.
Which means then that that budget, which is the one that included the reduction of staff, the senior center, et cetera, that's the one that we're going to be voting on June 30th.
Correct. That's what the Board of Finance made that decision.
Yeah, I just want to be sure I understand.
Okay, you're right.
Would the additional mill rate that you're voting on, wouldn't that help so we can keep some of those positions?
Yes, it would. It would retain all those positions.
All right. That additional mill rate of 2,346 instead of.
Right, but
Right, 2346, you got it.
the
Exactly.
expense budget would have to go up by $140,000. That tenth of a mil is about $140,000. And so the expense budget of $41,990,005 would have to increase by $140,000. That's not the budget that's being presented.
Or 6%, and you still get the job.
But if we didn't get a budget until October,
Let's hear from the lady in the
we
back of
wouldn't
the room.
close the
If you come forward.
transportation or the senior center until we had a budget. Which is why we have to tax at a higher rate until that happens.
Hi, it's Ann Moses, 640 Main Street, Summers. So I just want to clearly understand, we're voting again on June 30th.
Correct.
If we vote yes for it, the senior center cuts happen.
Correct.
The transfer station cuts happen.
Right.
The other cuts all happen.
Right.
If we vote no again, just because we have to for procedure, the Board of Finance is going to meet and come back on the July 15th, did I hear? With a new budget that potentially could put these guys back in, but make other cuts. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen in July?
So the Board of Finance doesn't determine the cuts. They determine the funding mechanism. So if this budget fails again June 30th, they meet on June 25th. That's going to be one of the topics of discussion is, where do we go if the budget fails on June 30th? If that's the decision and the budget fails and they say another $200,000 from the town, the July 14th budget would represent that $200,000. So it would be the cuts that are part of this budget plus any additional. Once that number is given to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen then have to determine where does that $200,000 come from.
So you're saying that no matter what we vote, that the cuts are already going to happen?
They're never, the budget's not going to get any higher.
The cuts to the senior center can't come off the table, and you can make that up somewhere else?
I don't know where else there is, unless you're going to lay off other people.
We could make different cuts. And I had proposed different cuts last week.
They could restore what they've got with the senior center and make cuts elsewhere.
We could do that. Right.
And that would happen, and we could potentially vote on that in July.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Yeah. You go first. Relative to the cuts, currently, we've talked about where the areas are. Is there any reason why there can't be a more even spread of the staffing cuts throughout the entire town organization, as opposed to honing in strictly on specific areas?
That's why we're here tonight.
Brian, how many town staff do we have?
42, I think 42 full-time and about 48 part-time.
We have a pretty lean staff now.
Yeah.
If you look at like our public works department, they do an amazing amount of work with a very small staff. It's just, we've actually been pretty responsible. I think most of you watch the meetings and know me. I'm very fiscally conservative and ask a lot of questions, as do the other members of the Selectmen. I mean, we don't have a lot of extra staff. How many staff have we eliminated in town hall? I mean, we've eliminated several.
2 in the last 3 years just in my department.
We've eliminated positions. So
Right, I mean, between the 2 that, have been eliminated from financing, that right there is probably $230,000 that isn't on the expense rolls anymore. And that would have collectively, I mean, that's $230 in fiscal '23, that's $230 in fiscal '24, that's $230. That adds up. That's a tax bill that doesn't exist anymore. There's not a lot of just loose bodies laying around.
The point Bill's making is that we have reduced staff in the past.
Human services, we added staff. They were 100% grant funded. So we got a large grant that funded one full position, and then we got a second grant that funded the second position. So, there's no cost to Summers taxpayers for the 2 positions we added. And when those grant funds end, we've told people they're going to lose their job, and they know that. So it's...
But that grant could be extended as well.
It could be. It could go up to 10 years.
Well, what about these raises? Looking at those 2.
So we did, and we did and believe me, I mean, I asked a lot of hard questions, and Tim and Bob did too. If you watch the meeting, we did comps. I mean, our public works workers were making $3, $4, $5 an hour less than all the town, not just one town, not just Ellington, not just Stafford, less than everybody. And it wasn't fair to them, and a lot of them were leaving.
You don't have to make all that up in 1 year. Then what? You want to get them up to scale? Why don't you do it in?
We didn't even give them They're still making less. We have foremen who are in charge of crews at Public Works who make less than entry-level people at other towns. And we did not make it up in 1 year. 1 year it would have required $10 an hour for some people. That didn't happen. They got 2.
And sir, to your point, I mean, all the salary increases together for everybody in town was less than $100,000. It's less than 1/10 of a mil. So, I mean, it's not what's driving every dollar counts.
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
It's not what's driving.
And spreading it out, that's spreading the hurt out a little bit amongst a lot more people.
Agreed.
Concentrating it on like 2 departments, which is the land reclamation department, the landfill department there, and the senior citizens. And going through the budget, those are the 2 areas that just jumped out where all of the cuts were made.
That's what I was going to say too.
They deserve to be there, but take a look at the rest of those 2.
I mean, I think we're all facing. I mean, look at restaurants. I mean, I've heard a lot of teenagers and people aren't getting jobs this summer. Why aren't they getting jobs? Because now minimum wage has risen so high, they can't afford to hire people and keep them on the payroll. I mean, we're all facing it. I mean, I meet with people. I do finance for a living. Every single person that works for me this year has asked for a raise. Every single person has asked for a raise. And it's hard because you're on both sides of the coin. We try to be responsible. You try to have a good workplace with people that are fairly paid, but at the same time, somebody's got to pay for it, and there's that balance, which is hard.
Can I ask a question, please?
I'm just saying, sure, a little bit. You go from a 10% increase to maybe a 7.5% or 6%. I don't know about people in this room, but I think very many people are getting 8, 9, 10% increases in a salary a year. Today in the marketplace, you're lucky probably to get 3.5.
I hear your point. It's a fair point.
And part of our salary increase, you got.
Hello, I like that.
She's been waiting.
Oh, okay, all right. Go ahead.
Debbie Blinn again.
Yes, ma'am.
View Road. Okay, the gentleman who back there said spread it out. Why don't you do that? My husband lost his job, and if you're not going all the way back to the May, his job isn't coming back, and he works for the transfer station. The other 2 are part-timers now, and they lost their benefits. Looking at this, it might go back to them. Okay. But why don't you just spread it out more? You were saying it too. Or my husband would have took a cut in hours or in pay. You're going to raise our taxes, and you took a job away from him that he needs. Or can't you cut your hours down?
Yes.
But cutting your hours down and giving your pay back, because you're all salary.
That's right. No, they're not. No, we're not. Some of them are.
Yes, thank you.
Bonuses too they get.
Yes, they do.
There's no bonuses.
You said that the total of the raises is about 100,000, and like I said before, if Hillsdale were being taxed at a normal property tax rate, that would have been 103,500 last year.
We don't have that option.
The option is completely foreclosed to
It is.
reclassify them.
They are exempt from taxation.
Based on, I'm sorry, I didn't know the decision, but can you explain?
It was made, 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, they have a nonprofit status, so it's federal rules.
Yeah.
But I mean,
A religious college state.
but I mean, to your point, and we've talked about this, the veterans tax exemption was an unfunded mandate from the state, and it cost us $270,000. So the state said that if you're a disabled veteran, you don't pay taxes. I agree with that. The problem is the state didn't cap it. So if you're a veteran that lives in $1 million home,
You don't pay
and you're
taxes.
disabled, you don't pay taxes. They should have capped it at, say, $250,000.
It's a 100% disabled.
It's a 100%, and again, that was another factor.
How does Hillsdale establish their existence as a religious entity?
This was done
Years ago.
a while ago.
Yeah. Or religious, yes.
And can I ask you to make two, just food for thought? Okay? We have a ton of ancillary items, line items in the budget. And they're just pet peeves of mine. Miscellaneous, dues and subscriptions. I know that everybody wants to be valued at work, but I'm not interested in a taxpayer as paying a pizza for somebody who's retiring. All of that little mishigas in every department, Board of Education otherwise, needs to be seriously looked at. It adds up. So if you would please consider, the cute little plaques that we do for the business of the month, every penny has value.
Agreed.
Every penny has value. So it just, please, let's consider that.
We'll do that, thank you.
One more question. Is this budget an estimate or exact? Because your last one that was on the television stated that it was an estimate.
I mean, 41,990,005 is the number. That's not an estimate.
We make revenue estimates.
Yeah, we make revenue estimates. Expenses are
Or fixed.
That's
Yeah, but we make revenue estimates, how many property taxes we're going to collect, what state aid we're going to get, because we don't always get all the state aid they promise us, shockingly.
Joan Sizer again. Quick question. We're cutting the salaries of all of the staff at the senior center. Not only salaries, but their hours. And I believe firemen and maybe policemen part-time. I'm not sure of the exact details.
The police was a retirement that
Oh,
the new person coming in would be at a lower rate.
The point being is, why are we not, and I think somebody mentioned the word spreading, why are we not doing cuts of staff or cuts of salaries or change the positions from full-time to part-time in other departments whereby you're spreading that, shall we say, adverse effect throughout the town as opposed to in the senior center?
Or DPW. And the transfer station.
But I mean, you've got three people at the senior center. You cut the head person from full to part-time. The two part-timers, you're cutting their hours down. The full-timer obviously is going to lose all of her benefits. And all the rest of the town employees, they're fine.
Yeah.
Why aren't we? Yeah, including the library. Library's not touched.
11 employees.
Their supplies are touched, but not their staffing.
Correct.
So why aren't you spreading staffing hindrances, shall we say, across the board?
We've heard your message, thank you.
I would say start all over, go back to May, give everybody their jobs back, and then work from there.
Okay, I think we need to vote on we had a pending question. We didn't vote on the final motion, right?
You're right.
To set the referendum.
So,
And I also have
with the referendum, with the motion on the table, all those in support say aye.
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 And then follow-up question, actually our registrar asked me, do we want to put the exit poll question on there again, or just the single?
No, don't.
No? Okay. So just the one question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then spread it out.
Okay.
We have to do minutes?
Yeah, I got some minutes to approve.
Public hearing.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have approval of the minutes of the June 4th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, I make that motion to approve the minutes of June 4th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those support say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Approval of the public hearing minutes of May 21st, 2026.
I make a motion to approve the public hearing minutes of May 21st, 2026.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All those in support say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. 8:20.